you very much. See, it doesn't matter what time it is. It does not matter. We are raising money for Doctors Without Borders. We are bringing it. Everybody's bringing it. We've got a few hours left. This is the final day of SGDQ 2021 online. I know. The week just flew on by, but we have a few hours left to make an impact. And coming up next, we're still getting set up for the run, but coming up next, we're going to have Luiz Miguel with Mega Man X2. And after that, I'll be hosting 2 more runs. It'll be Batman, the video game, and Quackshot starring Donald Duck. We'll get to those when we're ready. Let me tell you about the last 2 major incentives that we have. I know this is the last day of SGDQ 2021 online, but if you want to make it last a little longer, listen up. We have 2 runs coming up. We have Pokemon Emerald. We have a $50,000 incentive for beating Steven. Now, for those of you that don't know, Steven is a post-game optional trainer battle, the equivalent to the red battle in the Gen 2 games. If it's met, the runner Amoeba UK will take Steven down. That'll be met at $50,000. It's opened. It's currently at about $2,200 at the moment. If you want to extend SGDQ, you know what to do there. And also, as the excellent Dr. No, and by the way, I just want to say, Dr. No, if you can hear me, thank you very much for that, the amazing kind words. I appreciate it. You caught me off guard. You got me a little emotional. Thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate it. And as Dr. No so eloquently lets you know, the final bonus game for SGDQ 2021 online is open. It is Demon Souls, the remake that came out a few months ago on the PS5. $250,000 will get you a bonus run of Demon Souls. If we can pull together another $250,000 for Doctors Without Borders and make sure that you select the bonus game and your bonus incentive, whether you're donating to beating Steven on Pokemon Emerald or the bonus run of Demon Souls, make sure you select the incentive at the bottom of the donation page. If we can get together $250,000, we're going to get a bonus Demon Souls remake run. And that would be just the thing we need to make this thing go a little bit longer. Let me get to a few more donations here. We have had a lot come through. That doesn't matter what time it is. We have a $10 donation here from Pine Diablo. It says, donated yesterday, but I'm donating again today after listening to Kate Elder talk about the specific work that MSF does. She made me feel like I wanted to help and then realized I could just by donating. Thanks to MSF for the crucial work and GDQ for the crucial avenue for people like me to make sure my money goes to a place where it has real impact. Pine Diablo, you are very wise with your words. And let me tell you, just to give you an example, what you just did with that $10. With a simple $10 donation like what Pine Diablo just did, MSF can purchase not 1, but 45 emergency food rations for use in a crisis or a natural disaster. That is what Pine Diablo just did with that $10. It does not matter how big or small. I know we go a little wild with the big donations, but just what Pine Diablo did right there, just got 45 emergency food rations for MSF to deploy. Thank you very much for the $10. We are still getting ready. We have a $29 donation from Kiyoyakisoba, who says, give it up to MSF and GDQ for another amazing event. We've hit 1.5 million. Now let's see 2 million and beyond. GDQ spin for the win. Put this towards the Demon Souls remake bonus game. All right, I am getting a word that we are ready for our next run. Now, to give you a little bit of a history lesson, this is a game that used to appear on a few GDQ events. We haven't seen it in a while. The last time we've seen it was on GDQX in 2018, almost 3 years ago. But it is time for the return. It is Mega Man X2, 100%. And here to run it is Luiz Miguel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Luiz Miguel. I'm gonna play X2 100%. This is Summer Games Done Quick, but I'm freezing right now because it's really cold in Brazil, the southeast of Brazil. But I'll try to do my best. And I have Teemu and the Seed to do the commentary of the run.
Hello.
They will help me.
Yeah, sit here. True. I'll do my best to carry my own weight. I'll probably drag us down all together.
Well, I'll carry the load. All right,
let's
are
get
we
started?
just about ready?
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so Mega Man X2 100% is the name of the game today, and Mega Man X2 has been part of GDQ before, but we have never seen, to my knowledge, the 100% category. And one reason for that is that the 100% category is pretty niche. It's not a big category in terms of runners. It's not like something that a lot of people try. And the reason for that is that 100% is actually really close to any percent, because in X2, unlike in X1, obtaining the Easter egg super weapon at the end, which requires you to collect most of the items in the game, is actually faster than skipping it.
Functionally one-shots bosses. We'll get in a little bit more later, but initially, like 100% ended up kind of being a bonk, kind of being like a meme-ish category, because it was basically any percent plus 3 extra fights to save the one fight with 0 at the end. So didn't really branch out. But what I've been told is there's actually like a new route. Since back in my day, I have no idea what the difference is now.
Yeah, I will actually give shout-outs to Giaco, the Japanese runner, a good friend of mine too, who has the current X2 any% world record, and he is actually the person who came up with the route that is being used now. The route used to be different, and because the category is kind of a meme, not a lot of work was ever put into it, but this route that Giaco came up with brings the route closer to the any% route, which is the route where we go to Stag, Flame Stag third to obtain the, or in order to obtain the speed burner as fast as possible.
Yep, a lot of the movement tech in this game is why a lot of people like this. A little bit, I wouldn't say more than X1. X1's still very popular, but this one I believe has the best movement tech and options out of all of them. X3 has some useful weapons and some interesting techniques, but X2 is probably the most heavy based in execution and movement tech items, equipment and upgrades and stuff. X1 has some really neat glitches, but X2 is all about controlling the game. And then there's a few glitches on bosses that I'm aware of.
Yes. X2 is definitely the game where you have a few weapons that you can use to really control your horizontal speed. Though there wasn't a lot to discuss in this stage that we just saw. We go to a wire sponge first to obtain his weapon, because his weapon is one of those weapons that will boost your speed. And Sponge, yeah. Sponge is also RNG. He can do exactly this. And he's invincible now.
Yeah, what we want him to do is hang himself in the ceiling with his wire sponge, and then get him like about half health. And while he's up there throwing his little plants on the floor, we kind of destroy 2 of them because he can only max out at 4. So we want to keep pumping in damage while he's hanging, so we don't have to sit through that anger and lightning bolt. That normally would be a reset, but it's perfectly fine for Marathon, and completely expected that Sponge does that. He hates fast runs, just loves to cancel the speed run, so that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah, Sponge is one of the big RNG factors in the game. He's very comparable to Chill Penguin in X1, if anyone has seen the X1 speedrun. And actually, probably you have, because there was an X1 race at the start of this GDQ marathon.
As close to the slide master as we'll ever get.
So, all right. So this is the stage. We are now seeing the utilization of the chain. And since we don't yet have access to the speed burner, this is actually one of the stages where we see the chain the most. So obviously, as you can probably tell, the idea is that when you shoot the chain to a wall, it will pull you towards the wall faster than X's normal dash would be.
It's functionally like a pseudo air dash. The boots will be a great upgrade later, but fortunately, because of the way Speedburner actually works. The charged form of it's actually the useful one, so we need to get Buster upgrade first to really make the most use out of it. So right now we're just going to be using a lot of chain for movement tech, and we come here right after, not just to get the arm upgrade, but because we can loop Gator pretty, well, I wouldn't say pretty easily, it's kind of hard to perform sometimes. There ends up being a little bit of lag caused by the water and stuff, but we'll do our best to loop the boss and just make Gator look like a complete joke of a fight. And if you remember casually, he's quite the nightmare because he likes to dip and dive into the water all the time.
Also, there was some stuff about with the mech. There's actually also some speed tech, or some very specific speed tech with the mech. I will explain it later once we get to Crystal Snail stage, because those are the two instances in the run where we see the mech use. But as you can tell, this stage is actually really hard. I think one of the hardest in the game.
Very
It's
much
a lot
so.
of that chain optimization. There's that very tricky climb that you have to do while charging, which is one of the hardest things, in my opinion, in the Mega Man X games. You have to hold down Y, and then you have to, at the same time, like press B
Perfect,
in a
every
specific
time.
rhythm and all that jazz.
Yeah,
So,
so the Gator's a little weird where like he can actually be hit by his weakness just slightly before he dives. So if you get the right rhythm, you can bonk him over and over again with the chain and just loop him. For most of the stage, chain is really helpful, but we really need it at the end to get to grab the heart and the Buster upgrade without having to come back here. That's the optimization of most 100% routes is one loop. X3 unfortunately suffers from not being able to do that, but X1 has a variety of routes due to glitches. And X2, I think, is pretty similar. It's kind of like set in the way you go. There are a few variations, but you end up losing a bunch of time to the X Hunters, which we're going to kill because it's 100%.
Yes, and because I am a professional, well-prepared commentator, I made notes. So in the Mega Man X games, X2 and X7 are the two games in the whole series of 8 games that you can actually 100% without any revisits. So that's your trivia for the day.
Didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yes. So until now, the run has actually been identical to the any percent speedrun, but in just about now, not yet, but soon, we will see the first deviation.
Yeah. Normally in any percent, we're trying to get rid of the X Hunters as soon as possible, or some call them the Counter Hunters.
Okay.
Oops. Sometimes you can usually get out from underneath that gate, but if you get caught in the lag of the rumbling, it'll eat your input sometimes. All right, so he has to come all the way up here to get to the Counter Hunter fight. Normally we would just ignore them in any percent because we don't need the 0 parts, but we're gonna style on who do we got today? We got Surges?
Sergei's, yes. And Sergei's has a very useful glitch, which Luiz is probably trying to utilize here. You can stun lock him with the lemons, and it's looking pretty good here.
Oh no.
Oh, he can do the double pirouetta if you fail.
Lag
I'm actually
Master
not.
Deluxe.
I think it's kind of a mystery. It may not be a mystery. Someone will probably correct me on YouTube once this goes up there. But I think to me, it's kind of a mystery when the strat fails and when it succeeds. But sometimes I feel like it can fail randomly. That's how it feels like to me.
Yeah. So I think you could kind of tell visually why we want to stun lock him. Not just because it's quicker, but as soon as he gets loose with the stun lock, it creates a ton of lag, unfortunately. So most of the time loss is not really from missing the hit, it's just from him jumping in the air and just lagging the heck out of the game. This game's time is very low. What is it? It's in the 40s, correct? Or is it even below that now?
Oh, it's way below.
Okay, yeah, so, just that little bit of lag is a massive time loss. This is like, not necessarily one of the newer editions, but it's definitely one of the more difficult stumbling blocks for new runners. Since we do stag third, we don't have his weakness, so we don't get to bubble lock him. So you have to do this very, very innovative Buster duel, which is really fairly quick, and it's fast enough to save the time that we lose from not having bubble here. That
Yeah,
we can
that's actually
optimize our route.
something that I kind of wanted to touch on, because when people who are more casual, when they watch the MMX speedruns, they always wonder about, hey, why do we do some of the bosses with the Buster? Why don't we just go in the weakness? Or in the case of Stag, Yes, the bubbles are his weakness. They can stunlock him, but the bubbles will actually do the same damage as what we call dash lemons, which you will also see in the upcoming boss. So if Mega Man X is in dash speed, either ground dashing or jumping in dash speed, the first lemon he shoots will actually do 2 damage instead of 1. So that's something that you see a lot in the Mega Man X games. So, even though Bubble will stunlock Stag, it does the same 2 damage as the dash lemon.
Plus, it also kind of puts your boss order in a weird position, so you get extra. One of the reasons I was saying we want to get rid of the counter hunters, X hunters that have the 0 parts immediately is because they actually do warps in between the stages. So every stage that you start up with all 3 of them on the map is bigger time loss. So you're trying to pare them down as quickly as possible to minimize the frames of waiting there. So this is the first stage we'll see with Speed Burner. So it functionally acts as an additional dash or an air dash until we get a hold of the boots. Now we basically have 2 air dashes, and then we can also additionally grab the wall with a chain. So we basically have really fast air movement now in some horizontal ways rather than like X3 is far more like vertical based. X2 is very horizontal based. So we have all of the good movement options now. Unfortunately, this is another duel that we have to do with the Buster only. This fight isn't too bad. This boss is fairly quick with Crystal Hunter because you can loop him with it. But it just ends up that the way that we order the bosses, it's quicker to get rid of counter hunters, do these few slower Buster fights because it optimizes later stages so that we get much better setups for boss fights and strats overall.
I'm gonna have to correct you a little bit. In the any percent run, Ostrich is actually done later with the crystal. The reason we do Ostrich here in Hundo is that we get. Like you were partially correct.
I think I misspoke. You are right. Yeah. I was talking about 100% that we do this because it just optimizes the order. So keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. Because you want the counter hunters to appear in certain stages because in some stages it's slower to get to the optional bosses, and in the other stages the bosses are just faster to get to, so you want to control the stages where they're. It
would make sense that you wouldn't want to take the counter hunter in here because it's actually right at the very beginning of the stage, and you have to go up a huge wall of rocks that you have to break over and over again with the wheel. So it takes forever to get up there. So it's just better if you have to do the encounter in Ostrich with a counter hunter. I couldn't even imagine the amount of time you would have to lose to get up there and then come back down after killing the boss. So we kind of want to put the counter hunters where they're in the way as much as possible.
We are actually going to be fighting Violin here in this stage. And out of the 3 fights, I'd say Violin is the toughest. You thankfully have quite a bit of health here for the fights, but Violin can kind of be a crapshoot.
Yeah, anybody using...
This is the backup.
Yeah, he was trying to jump off that left side wall. If your movement is perfect, you can get a ball kick off there. I guess one of the things we should be noting is the reason he can get so much height is if you're going off a slope to the left, for whatever reason, you get a massive amount of height. It's called a slope jump, and it's prevalent in all of the games, some of them worse than others, like X3 on PlayStation 1. For whatever reason, just everything is a slope jump. Don't know why. Good physics.
And the reason Luiz was able to get that double jump in the air that you saw a few times is because of a mechanic that is in X2 and 3 where when you charge up to the full shot with the Buster upgrade and then you air dash and shoot on the same frame, X is actually sort of on the ground for 1 frame and jumps off of it. Oops.
The menu boss. Yeah. So it's commonly referred to like neon jumps nowadays. I think is pretty much what everyone calls it. Before we used to kind of like meme and call it a bunch of different names, but basically referred to as neon. It's functionally an additional air double jump plus an additional air dash because an additional effect of it is it refreshes your air dash as long as you do the input for it. So in X3 you can use it to chain a lot of moves together.
I believe Liberty jumps were a term once upon a time.
Yeah, once upon a time. So this is another one of the bosses where we're kind of like cheesing him out in an unintended method. If you place the wheels in the right way, you can triple, double hit him. If you get a really good setup, you can hit him with the explosive pedals of the fully charged wheel, and then he'll jump up into the invisible center and take the charge damage from it. Most of the bosses, we want to just use the uncharged stuff because the difference is usually only a couple of points. So waiting the full 2 or 3 seconds to get the full charge really isn't worth it, except for at the very beginning of the fight.
All right, so now we're going to snail stage. Or wait, are we?
Centipede.
Yes. No, centipede, yeah. So bad commentator.
You had to be scared for a second there. I was like, all right, we got a new route, boys. We're going to have fun tonight. Oh, yeah.
So I'll
Magna
explain
Centipede.
what I was about to explain a little later.
Okay, so Magna Centipede is a lot of like really tight movement optimizations. We take full advantage of burner, chain, everything here. Bounce off a couple of walls, get hit by a few enemies. You know, that's normal. That's exactly how we do this. That's the perfect strat every time.
Yeah, that's correct.
this is correct. I gotta charge up my Giga Charge. Wait, I don't have armor. Never mind. So
Yeah, this looks like a centipede stage to me. I don't see anything weird going on here.
So yeah, this stage is full of a lot of movement tech, so it's quite easy to kind of miss an input or bounce off a wall because it's really tightly routed in the optimization. Like
So you want to kill this mini boss in such a way that the hitbox of the chain kind of connects with his hitbox in a specific way that it goes all the way in, so that you can one-shot it. It's actually quite hard. You have to have the correct timing.
Luiz made that look extremely easy when that first came out, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll learn this. And then I'm like, oh god, why? And I end up hitting it with wire like 67 times right after that. I'm like,
Yeah, it took me a long
what have I
time.
done? And so this guy is actually weak to fire, so we burn a couple of more shots off, but set it up in such a way that we have at least one more burner here so that we can get good movement. Magna Centipede is going to look extremely weird, so I'm going to let Teemu explain it, but ooh boy, this fight.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that one thing I love about the stage is that you actually use all of your burners, so it's a very optimized stage. So after Sponge, this guy here is the other major RNG factor. So what you want him to do is to
Centipede,
give
please.
you the tailspin attack. The attack where he shoots all of these tail pieces out of his tail.
By the
Because
way,
that will allow us
X2 has
to-
no RNG.
Because that will allow us to glitch him to stay still. Because otherwise, when you attack him, he can actually start teleporting on you, and that.
Okay, he's not helping you.
This is.
Yeah, this
I
is
don't
looking
believe
good.
I've ever seen RNG this bad on Magna Centipede. Not a single time did he spin.
Thank you very much.
Oh boy, yeah. This game, it's great to get a low time, and you know, this stuff never happens in a speedrun. We don't suffer for our craft at all. Ah!
So there is a glitch where he shoots his tail pieces out of his tail, and then you can slide down the wall and jump off at a specific time, and the tail spin. One of the pieces, when it goes off screen, it kind of confuses Centipede, and he just keeps spinning the tail forever.
Yeah,
And
so
then
what it normally
just
does
there,
is-
and you can kill him.
He throws out the tail pieces. He did everything but throw the tail pieces that time. So thanks, boss. They'll circle around you and close in. And if you jump off a wall in a specific way, you kind of glitch them out so they get stuck at the same distance. So you keep jumping on the wall and just hitting them with charge shots over and over again. We're not going to get a second chance of that because we're just going to uppercut him like he deserves the next time we see him. So unfortunately, we can't show it off, but the boss just decided that was an honest to don't list today.
So what Luiz just did there with the mech is something that actually a lot of people don't always understand that you can do in this game. I'm talking of people who are like more casual, not into the speedrun. You can dash with the mech, just like you can dash with X. But there is an additional speed mechanic to the mech called lunging. So basically, you can go to the edge of the cliff. You can press Y and hold it, and the mech will start like rolling his, you know, whatever.
He'll
those
do his
things
like
are,
charged
hands.
attack, basically just throws the little drilled hands or whatever.
Yeah, And then when you release it, the mech will lunge into the air. Then you can just tap B and not run out of fuel and get to the other side. If
Yeah,
you try
you
to
can-
dash jump with the mech, you will run out of fuel and you will never make it to the other side. So you can just do that and get there and back with the mech.
Yeah, and literally, the time we had to explain the mech, the entire stage is done. There was a
Yeah,
mini
that's
boss
why-
in there. He's skippable. He's not supposed to be skippable, but he sure as heck is. And it had to do with his specific setup with using the wire and the charge burner to kind of skip past the loading mechanic. Also, this boss is pretty funny too. Yeah. This is one of the few times where we get to use the whole charged weapon. It's because kind of like Magnet isn't super great. But as soon as you hit him with his weakness, his shell shoots off. And what we do is play soccer with his shell or football. Don't hate me, I swear, please, no. So we kick the shell around and play keep away. And then we just let him get in it at the end and just kind of bop him with that last charged hit. Because it takes like a really kind of specific, that movement is actually controlled by the player on the D-pad, so you kind of have to toggle it a little bit to get the charge bind to hit him.
Yeah, and Mega Man X is a very hard game to commentate because there's a lot going on, and you need to
blink and you
explain
miss
a
it
lot of things.
nature, yeah. That's why I
Yes.
like X3, because we have like a lot more time to commentate and
That's
explain.
Shadow Man.
So,
Alright,
Yeah.
just Shadow Man.
yeah, so we're on the last of the 8 Mavericks. Oh, nice. I usually mess that up and only get one side, which makes it extremely hard to drop through there properly. This is the last upgrade. The helmet will find secrets for us. The Buster gives you a charge shot where you can fire up to 2 charge shots, so you can actually get 2 of the neons off of it by pressing and releasing and shooting and jumping at the same time with both of them. The boots give us a ground dash, which is a nice speed boost, and we get a air dash in this game as well to complement all of our other stuff. The armor gives us Giga Crush, which is just a 0 damage lag generator, so yeah, no. It halves damage though, that's nice.
Nice leg.
Yeah.
This stage is kind of annoying to a speedrunner. I think it's actually cool with the movement and everything, but these mini bosses are kind of RNG, or not kind of RNG, they are RNG, and they can waste variable amounts of time. But
Yeah, I
also
bet you
the
guys didn't know
stage
this was here.
The stage itself has random lag because a lot of the debris flies around. Even if it's not on screen per se, it will still lag the game's memory and make the stage run slower. So you may lose seconds even though you didn't do anything wrong. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So Agile is the last of the X-Hunters, and
He
here's
stood
a
no chance. Rip
strat.
my poor Agile.
Here's a
We
strat
salute
that is
you.
not the prettiest one. You just basically lean against the wall and shoot him. It's
'Cause-
kind of an ugly strat, but it's really the best that we have.
It's definitely optimal because if you go at him any other way, he'll either do jumping slashes and those projectiles block your shots, or he'll come over to your side of the room. So it basically eliminates like 2/3 of his attack pattern to go that way. So it's easier to take the hits since we have the armor now. If we didn't have the armor, we totally would have got killed by him even with full health.
Yeah.
Him
I know
and
me and Giaco both tried to come up with a better strat, but it's so RNG unless you do exactly that.
Sometimes the simplest method is the correct method.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. You're kind of like, this is not as cool as this should look for how awesome and optimal the speedrun is, but sometimes the ugliest thing is the best.
I'm really worried about this HP.
Yeah, it is pretty low HP. The reason Luiz is actually worried is this boss like hits like a truck if you bonk into him.
Yes.
He's definitely not one you want to mess with. I used to actually get armor in my any percent route because this guy right here would ruin my day every time. Not optimal at all, but he puts the fear of anybody, any sort of divine being into me.
Also, a comment on a lot of the bosses in this game, like Moth, and you used Snail earlier, a few other bosses earlier. They're actually very scripted, unlike the bosses in, say, X1, for instance. If you get the strats, but they can also be pretty punishing because if you miss the one scripted strat, the fight goes all over the place and you lose half a minute.
Yeah.
Like a moth is entirely scripted. If you do the same thing every time, he'll do the same thing everything. Same for instance for snail and obviously gator. If you can do the infinite combo, etc.
Though technically not related, I have to derail since I am the Sid. With any percent, in a task setting, it is technically faster to not get Shoryuken. So like a lot of these bosses, there's faster methods to kill them than Shoryuken, but it's really not applicable, especially since it's 100%, but in terms of any percent. The thing is just like Shoryuken is 100% consistent. The bosses are so RNG heavy that taking another 8 RNG heavy fights at the end of a speedrun is not realistic because it's a very small time save that basically, unless you're manipulating the game on a macro level, you know, through task tools, you're not going to get faster. So basically, getting the Shoryuken is always the better way to do it, unless you like suffering. Yeah, you like suffering. I'll stick with that one.
Also, while we were talking, a very nice Counter 101 stage by Luiz. Definitely one of the hardest.
Fantastic, yeah.
A lot of climbing and holding charge, which I spoke about earlier. You use a lot of your arsenal, almost everything that you have. It's a very optimized stage, very hard stage. And there's a nice G-strat for anybody who wants to play this game casually. You equip your bubbles, you charge him up, and you stand next to Violin here, and he dies. It's a very nice G-strat that is totally equipable in
the reason you saw Luiz jumping wasn't just for fun. He was actually trying to bonk on the spike ball. A lot of bosses in Mega Man X, contact damage do a ton. X2 and X3 specifically are really big culprits, so you often want to take damage from projectiles or anything other than the robot itself, as they hit for 6, 7, or 8 health out of your like 32. Ugh. You don't want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's also true in a lot of the classic games. The boss will deal a lot of that. I'll be quiet now and let
Luiz
do this bit.
Yeah, this it's very tight to get this set up. It really involves like very tight movement. This is like a make or break point for runs for the most part. Like of course Luiz gets the execution part, but the game doesn't give him the RNG.
All right, I messed up. Oh no, I got it.
Yeah, easy free.
Yeah,
so this is probably the toughest boss in the game. So what you want to do here, you can actually script this boss entirely if you get the strat, which Luiz slightly missed there, but you can buy with the correct placement of the splicer. It's a very, very nice fight. With the correct placement of the splicer, or slicer, whichever it is, I don't know, bad comment there.
Yeah.
You can actually get those double hits on Sergei's that you saw Luiz get a few times. They're not guaranteed. You need to shoot the weapon at a very specific point so that it hits them on the way up and on the way down.
It takes both positioning from the boss and you firing on off at the right spacing between them, so the first one hits him, and then the other one will fall down on him. So it's like timing, RNG, and skill. Like it's one of the more difficult things. That's why I said like Shoryuken is theoretically not the fastest way, but boss fights like that are what make it the fastest way, because it's just it's really unreasonable to expect. Because one of the things you have to do is stay up on the elevators to keep him closer to a certain height, because he likes to be level with you more often. Here we're going to see a lot of double neons to just basically get some free double jumps. Because a lot of this, this is more vertical, like X3, a la X3, rather than horizontal. This is one of the few areas. That was an extremely good climb. It's
Oh my god.
Well, that is...
Okay.
I'm surprised. I was almost hoping you fell all the way down, so you had to do the backup. So this is the super move that we're talking about. Over under, like the routes are very similar. You can actually go underneath and then double neon back up. Once you learn one, you kind of stick to it, because it's like it's like a few frame variant, so you might as well just learn one and stick with it. That kick is cool though. Crystal Hunter will crystallize an enemy, and if he jumps off it too slow, he'll break the crystal jumping off of it. So he kind of has to like hit it in just a unique way. And here's the first Shoryuken. Yep.
Yeah, Agile is kind of like, hi Agile, Bye, Agile.
I'm 100% like they definitely designed this boss for the Shoryuken, not for
sure.
anything else.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So you'll notice he didn't like die instantly. Hadouken's an insta-kill in X1. The Saber is usually 2 in X3. The Shoryuken is a one-shot, but it takes 3 frames to kill. The first hit does 16 out of the boss's 32, and then 8 for each additional frame. So basically, we have to set up these fights so that we're going to make 3 frames of contact to kill every boss. So if sometimes a boss randomly survives, it's because of unlucky timing or bad positioning.
Yeah, isn't it 8 damage for every additional, like every 2 frames after this is 16? I think.
Is it 2? I thought it was every frame. Well,
yeah, I think it's 16 at first and then 8 every 2 frames after that, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so it's either every 2 or every frame, but basically you'll see the boss kind of live for like a split second and then just kind of get melted because we're doing with a 30 FPS game. Some of these fights are more dangerous than others. This one is the only danger is doing the input the wrong way.
Also, we've kind of explained the Shoryuken, which you perform by doing the same thing as you do in Street Fighter, forward, down, down, forward. But I think this is a pretty good time for donations, if there are any.
Oh yeah, there are a lot. We have a $34.59 donation from Justin Credible, who says, "Good luck on the X2 run and congrats on the X1 race win, Luiz. I wished I was able to race you in this, but any X game is in good hands with you at the controls. If you happen to beat your X1 race time on this run, I will repeat this donation. Donation goes to Luiz's choice."
Well, it's over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one came in kind of early. But thank you, Justin Credible. We had $25 from Satoriu, says, "Let's go, Luiz." Thank you. We had $50 from Cetra Blues, who says, "Luiz Miguel running Mega Man X2 with Enigma on hosting duty. Please take my money. Couldn't ask for a more stellar Saturday morning." Thank you, Cetra.
So some of these bosses with the Shoryu are scripted, kind of like, you know, the original fights, but there are a few that can give you bad RNG. Mod here is scripted. He has 2 forms. You can one-shot him no matter what you do. So you have to get the first form and then the second form. It's totally scripted though. Sponge, which you saw earlier, can give you varying RNG.
Sponge is in the same category. That's part of the reason why Shoryuken is like 100% faster real time.
Yes.
Because he does whatever he wants. Just imagine doing that twice. And the same thing with Magna Centipede. Just imagine doing that twice.
Yes.
Magna Centipede's really, actually, I guess I'll talk about this real quick. He has kind of a unique thing. If you hit him with his weakness, his tail will break. So he goes down from having 4 attacks to 2, so you can't loop him like you would normally. That's another issue. So you have to take the RNG on him. You can't just get away with weakness.
That's a really cool strat on Ostrich called the Icy Hot, where you freeze him with his weakness and then you immediately Shoryuken him. It's a really cool looking strat. Very satisfying to do.
Yeah, he's one of those bosses that has like weird iframes because of the way his weakness works. There's a few bosses where you can kind of like Gator actually. This is
Oh my god.
Yeah, the thing is you can't get all those frames of contact that I was talking about with the Shoryuken.
Oh no.
Oh no is right. Okay. I kind of.
Oh my god. This is really bad.
Okay, so one of the things we kind of glossed over because it's so easy to forget. If you're not at full HP, you don't get the super move. So that one tank was his backup, and Gator just. So now we gotta do it the old-fashioned way. Oh man.
This is.
It's quite
unfortunate.
Yeah. So the reason he didn't just immediately. That's gonna suck a ton of HP. The reason he didn't immediately just Shoryuken is because you won't make all the contact frames, so he has to do a couple with the wire. Actually, like it also, you just have to hit him like once or twice. But you want to back him up into the corner so that you can make sure that he won't move out of the uppercut. Yeah, some of these bosses.
The gator strat is very hard. You have to combo the chains at the beginning, and then after the final chain, you have to swap to Buster, and then you have to do the Shoryu input, and then actually connect with the Shoryu.
It takes a shoulder button input to swap your weapon, and then you have to do the input, which it's down to back, which is part of the reason why I made my fake category, because I didn't realize that. I thought it was down to forward. You know, I have a tiny little baby brain, so I never got the shurikens off unless they were behind me, and then never really figured it out. Snail sucks too. You can actually delete his shell. Oh,
this is really bad.
Okay, well this is gonna be an interesting. Yeah, this is what happens with this game. Sometimes runs just go to die. So we're gonna play some true shell football here, the real.
So basically, X2 low percent. I know something about this category here. Luiz swapped categories on the fly.
Yeah. So that's basically what it means.
This is the Pele of the games.
We're gonna have some fun with it. If a boss is gonna give us real bad luck, might as well. Yeah, that's the reason that this game can be so volatile. Basically, if you don't do this rush perfectly, the run's dead. So this run is not anywhere near safe until you get into the last counter hunter stage with Sigma, and even then, if you accidentally had to use your tank because you bonked on something, you can really easily bonk in something here and lose just a little bit of HP, which will totally put you in a position where you
once
can't.
You get to the counter hunter stages in this game, the game is just constantly bam, bam, bam with reset point. It's really hard. It's really hard to keep a run together in Mega Man X2. So people may be wondering, why are we back in this stage? And I don't have a definitive answer. My theory has always been that they just simply ran out of space on the cartridge. So they made it so Sigma space was actually not going to send it.
It's either space or they ran out of time to develop it, so they're just like, you know what we can use. Yeah, this this looks like a meeting room that Sigma would have. I mean, look at this wonderful decor. So this is what 100% gets you. A free Black Zero fight, which is just Shoryuken done. It isn't quite that simple because the Shoryuken can kind of be troublesome. Zero will put up his guard, but as long as you're familiar with how to take care of him, he's probably one of the least troublesome. So we're gonna try. Nice.
Nice. So you saw Luiz specifically land X and position X at the center of the arena, so that when Zero crushes the floor, he doesn't normally casually do that. X doesn't drop down the floor. It causes a glitch, which nice GG time.
Nice.
That's
one
time.
shot.
Yeah, it causes a glitch where when X actually falls down, he's invincible for a bit in the Wolverine fight.
And the other thing of note is how I said it does 16 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Wireframe Sigma actually has 64 damage or HP, I believe. So it's exceedingly hard to one-shot him with the Shoryuken. Oftentimes he'll get loose and you end up going well, I guess we're doing this the old-fashioned way with his weakness. Because there's really no reprisal at that point, because you usually fall right into him and run out of lose some HP to it. But overall, given the boss RNG we had to suffer through, there were a couple of mistakes, but most of it was this game being this game. It loves to provide the times on this are so finely tuned that even the slightest mistake or the slightest change in RNG can just grenade a run, unfortunately. But Luiz did a very good job of handling what he got dealt overall and still going for the fastest strats, like Magna Centipede. Sometimes he does that. It's the same thing with Sponge. Sometimes he won't hang himself from the ceiling with his throw, so you can't really get the good pattern. It's just reset, 5 minutes at reset, and then just reset change. Woo.
100%.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice run, Luiz.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. All right, it was a pretty good run given what the game decided to give you. Good job, man. This game is pretty volatile, and reacting to it on the fly is very difficult. But overall, that's about the best you're gonna see live, unless some sort of act of divine being gives you top tier RNG every time. And considering how low the time is on this, getting a world record or like a PB is nigh impossible, or really unexpected given how insane this game can be.
All right, I'm sure the marathon is on a tight schedule, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
probably head on out of here.
Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and see you next time.
All right. And with a final time of 37 minutes and 11 seconds, that was Luiz Miguel. And yes, that was indeed the first ever 100% Mega Man X2 run on GDQ. They were talking about it at the beginning, did some research. First time we've ever seen 100%. Fantastic. We had a few more donations come on in here from Mega Man, including this one. We had $50 from QPF, who says, shout out to Cent for being the best prize guru I've ever seen for any event. There's $50 more coming if this gets read by the charismatic Eternal Enigma. Smiley face. Love you all. You're beautiful. Less than 3. No, QPF. You're beautiful. Now pay up. I'm kidding. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so coming up next, we actually have an interview. YKB is going to be talking to our runner for the next 2 runs. So right now, let's go to that interview. YKB is with Tako.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for watching Summer Games Done Quick 2021. I am joined here today by Tako. Tako's running a couple games later in this marathon. So, Tako, thanks for joining me.
Hello, everybody. No problem. I love to be here.
So, Tako, I want to talk a little bit about the first game you're running. This actually is one of the games that is done twice in this marathon, which we talked a little bit about earlier, but not really, because the first time it was the NES version, and you are running the Genesis version. So tell us a little bit about Batman, the video game.
Okay, so the earlier game run was obviously the NES version, but both of these games were made by Sunsoft at the same time. And in the Genesis version, well, the movement is quite different because you can abuse instantly, right off the bat, let's say that way, this movement called bunny hopping, and you will see it throughout the entire run, and that's not something you won't see in the NES version. And in addition to that, there are some wall clips and some interesting speedrun stuff.
And there's also like some kind of almost shoot 'em up sections in this game, which also makes it a little bit unique.
Yes, there are 2 different shoot 'em up sections. One is with the Batmobile, and another is using the Batwing.
Well, I'm especially excited about the Genesis version of this game, not only because I love Genesis speedruns just in general, but also this game hasn't been featured at a GDQ before, as far as I know. So it's exciting that you're bringing something completely new to the table here.
Yes, this is a completely new game. Nobody has done any speedruns before me, and I've never seen anyone run this at any marathon. So it's definitely a new experience for everybody.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And then following that directly, you have Quackshot, which of course is a game super near and dear to my own heart. This game hasn't been seen in the marathon since 2016. So what is new in the Quackshot world that has changed since then?
Well, in 5 years, I can say that a lot has changed. After your run, we found this new technique called long jump, or you can call it super jump, which allows Donald to skip some sections in Mexico and in general go a little bit faster during some sections. And obviously the movement has been improving all the time, so the record has been lowered by quite a lot since then.
Right. Well, and the movement is such a key portion of Quackshot, like, and Batman as well. So in what other ways, or in what ways are these 2 games kind of similar, besides the fact that obviously they're both on the Genesis?
Well, in addition to Batman and Quackshot, I always like these movement-based games. You can add Aladdin, for example, to that. Um, for example, in Quackshot, you have to run, you can slide, but you can't slide uphill, so you have to find another way to go fast, which is you abusing some glitches, which is called long jump. And of course, there are some other very interesting movement tech. Also in Batman, you will see it immediately.
Yeah, like so many, early game speedruns, there's just a lot of jumping in Batman because it just happens to be faster, right?
Yes, it's much easier than just holding right and jumping at the correct time.
Right. So tell me a little bit about the how you got into running Genesis games because I love Genesis games. I got into them because they were games that I played as a kid. So why did you kind of go this route when it came to choosing which speed games you were going to do?
Well, I started speedrunning in 2014, but I first saw speedrunning in maybe 2013. I saw this Narcissus amazing Ocarina of Time, but then I didn't start speedrunning myself after that. But when I did, Sega Genesis was an obvious choice because it was my first console and I have nostalgia for all these games. I did own Aladdin, I did own Quackshot, World of Illusion, Castle of Illusion, all these amazing children's games.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was in the same boat. I mean, I could totally relate to all of that. And there's just something satisfying about coming back and not only beating the game, but like beating it really fast and getting the world record, which Taco does hold in both Batman for Genesis and Quackshot currently. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
So we do have to wrap up here, but you guys are going to want to tune in later today to watch Taco's run of both Batman the video game and Quackshot. Taco, thank you once again for joining me today.
No problem.
All
I
right,
hope that,
thanks, you guys. Go ahead.
yeah, I hope that you will enjoy this run. Bye bye.
I know I will. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more great games coming up soon.
All right, welcome back to SGDQ 2021 online, and we are wasting no time. It is now time for our next run. Now, earlier you saw the NES version of this game being run by Junkyard Dave. It is now time for the Sega Genesis version. First time we've ever seen this on a GDQ, the Sega Genesis version of Batman the video game. And here to bring it to you is Taco.